Welcome to the Young Adult section. I'm David Levithan, publisher and editorial director here at Scholastic, and I'm really excited about a lot of YA titles on our list. The first is from Maggie Stiefvater. She stormed the bestseller lists with the Shiver trilogy and then stormed the Prince Honor with Scorpio Races. Now she has a new series. But why listen to me telling about it? Here's Maggie.
Hi book lovers, I'm Maggie Stiefvater, the author of the Shiver trilogy and the Scorpio Races, and today I'd like to tell you about my upcoming book, The Raven Boys. It comes out September 18th and it's the first book in a new 4-book series. It follows two protagonists. The first is Richard Campbell Gansey III, who is a rich private school boy who comes from old Virginia money. Anyway, in his spare time, when he's not tooling around in his multiple cars, or flying around in his sister's helicopter, he spends his weekends looking for a long-lost and dead Welsh king, Glendower. Now, legend has it that Glendower is not truly dead, but sleeping, and whoever wakes him will get a wish. Oh, just between you and me, I don't think Gansey really needs a wish. And I think the second narrator of The Raven Boys would agree with me. Blue Sargent is the daughter of the town psychic, which is kind of the opposite of old Virginia money, and she's always hated the boys who go to Aglenby. She calls them Raven Boys because of the raven that's on their school blazers. And she's done a pretty good job of avoiding them. But every year, her mother and Blue go to an old churchyard, and her mother sees the spirits of everyone who's going to die in the next 12 months. And this year, she sees Gansey's spirit. And everything changes. You might be asking yourself what a long-dead Welsh king, sleeping or not, is doing 3,000 miles away from Wales. This is a question Gansey has been trying to answer. He's traveled all over the world following mystical spirit lines, and his search has brought him here, the Shenandoah Valley, which conveniently is also where I was born and happens to be the place I love more than anywhere else in the world. To me, it's always seemed like a place that magic could happen. And hopefully, after you read The Raven Boys, you'll agree.
One of the novels I'm most thrilled about is Elliot Schrafer's Endangered, which is really sort of something you haven't read before. It's something that's not paranormal, but is very real, very dangerous. And here to tell you a little bit more about it is Elliot.
Hi, I'm Elliot Schrafer. The more I learn about bonobos, the more I fall in love. It doesn't hurt that they're so darn adorable. Like chimpanzees, bonobos are our closest relatives. But bonobos have a much more peaceful culture. They're known as the make love, not war ape. And the females are in charge. With mothers in control, all bonobos benefit, especially the infants. But bonobos also, of course, live only in Congo, the most war-torn country on Earth. That central irony about the bonobo situation is what led me to write Endangered. I traveled to Congo last summer to research the book and learned so much about bonobos in the country while I was there. I stayed at the world's only sanctuary for bonobos outside of Kinshasa, and it was there, on a little porch that overlooked the rescued infants playing in the nursery, that I wrote most of the book. Endangered is the story of a 14-year-old girl named Sophie, who spends her school years with her father in the States and her summers in Congo with her mom at her bonobo sanctuary. As a mixed-race girl, Sophie's never felt she fit in Congo until she meets Otto. She buys the baby bonobo from an impoverished hunter, setting in motion a chain of events with dire consequences. She becomes this infant's surrogate mother, bonding closely with him and giving him a will to live. But one day, while Sophie's mother is away, a rogue militia attacks the sanctuary, and suddenly Sophie and Otto are fighting for their lives. Endangered is an exploration of what bonobos are and what that means for us as their relatives. It's also an exploration of Congo's recent history and a portrait of a very resilient people. Primarily, though, Endangered is the story of Sophie and little Otto, and the determination of a young woman to give a voice to a creature with a heart as broad as a human's, but with no voice of his own.
Hi, I'm Amanda Maciel, senior editor at Scholastic. The disturbing but increasingly popular choking game trend is explored in this heartbreaking story by Diana Lopez, the author of critically acclaimed novel Confetti Girl. 8th grader Wendy wants everything to change. Her hair, her clothes, her dorky best friend. So when the new girl at school, Nina, wants to hang out, Wendy jumps at the chance. But Nina plays the choking game, and she wants Wendy to play too. Suddenly it seems like things are changing too fast. Wendy wants to go back to how things were, but it might already be too late. Diana Lopez encountered the choking game as a middle school teacher. She includes a letter to readers and a list of resources in case they need the help Wendy wishes she'd had. And she hopes that the safe space a novel creates will let readers learn how dangerous this game can be and how to avoid playing it.
I was 16 the first time my grandmother died. With this first line, we're drawn into the mystery of Amber House, an astonishing debut novel by Kelly Moore, Tucker Reed, and Larkin Reed. Sarah Parsons' family has always owned Amber House, a grand estate in Maryland. Now, as Sarah explores the house for the first time, she sees echoes of scenes from her ancestors' lives, which point her toward a long-hidden treasure and connect her to two very different young men. Sarah must ultimately discover the truth within the echoes and save her family from its own past. Amber House is a paranormal story with a vision far beyond the usual romance, one that spans the whole course of American history. And the focus on family is appropriate here, because it's written by a fascinating mother and daughter team, Kelly Moore, Tucker Reed, and Larkin Reed. I'm delighted to launch them now with the wonderful Amber House.
Hi, I'm Andrea Davis Pinkney, Vice President Executive Editor. Many of you know author Sharon G. Flake from her best-selling, groundbreaking work entitled The Skin I'm In, a book that catapulted Sharon's career and was the beginning of a body of work that led to several Coretta Scott King Award winners. We at Scholastic are now very proud to welcome Sharon with a new book entitled Pinned. Pinned is the story of Autumn and Adonis, two teens, each wrestling with what it means to be different. And now I will let Sharon G. Flake tell you herself about her new book, one that I believe is her most powerful and affecting work to date.
Hello, my name is Sharon G. Flake, and I'm here to talk to you about my latest novel, Pinned. The book is about a young girl, Autumn, who is on the wrestling team, the only girl. She is a gifted cook and a struggling reader. It's also about a young guy. His name is Adonis. He is brilliant, a voracious reader who happens to be in a wheelchair. He was born without legs. On the surface, it might appear that Adonis and Autumn don't have very much in common. That's wrong. They have lots in common. They're both on the wrestling team. They both are gifted, and some would say they're both disabled. Pinned is told in alternating voices between Autumn and Adonis, and it is about friendship, determination, and accepting the differences in one another. Let me take a minute and read just a little bit about the book. When Miss Baker went into class smiling like reading is fun, I pick up my pencil and draw two hearts. Instead of a test, we're going to read a play today, she's saying. I don't know what's worse, a test or reading a play. Both are bad. Open your books. She walked over to me, squeezing my shoulder. Autumn, read the part of Kayla. I tapped my pencil on my book, wondering how many freckles our teacher got. She winks. I know you can do it, baby. I don't like to read. It's boring. I tell Miss Baker this all the time. She say not to give up. She gonna help me read better. That ain't gonna happen. Teachers tried before. I'm still way behind. My parents moved around a lot, so I went to a bunch of different schools, sometimes 2 in 1 year. You put your head down a lot after a while and don't worry about the new stuff they teaching, because you might not be there for the test know-how. I missed a lot of stuff, I guess. My goal is to be the best wrestler ever, not the best reader. I know it's too late for that. Pinned. I hope you get the chance to read it.
Hi, I'm Andrea Davis Pinkney, Vice President Executive Editor, and I am here with award-winning author and award-winning actress Sonia Manzano, the creator of an incredible new novel entitled The Revolution of Evelyn Serrano. Sonia, welcome to Scholastic.
Well, thank you.
I'm sure that everyone watching is thinking, there's Maria on Sesame Street. It's a role that you've defined.
I've defined that role. People call me Maria all the time. I'm beginning to think that it is my real name. I always respond to it. It's quite all right.
Well, you've done a lot of incredible things. You've been on Broadway. You have won 15 Emmy Awards for your writing on television. We get to see you every year practically in the Macy's Day Parade.
So every year I say I'm not going to do it, and I always do it.
And we always see you.
I can't resist. It's too much fun.
Every Thanksgiving. And now you have written a novel for young adults, The Revolution of Evelyn Serrano. Tell us about this book.
Well, I'm so excited about the whole process. It's been wonderful working with you. And the book is about a young girl, Evelyn Serrano, her consciousness-raising experience in El Barrio in 1969, El Barrio, Spanish Harlem in New York City.
The book is intensely personal. Who is Evelyn Serrano? Who are the people around her?
Well,
tell us about that.
Well, all of the emotions that she goes through are certainly mine. I became aware of society in 1969 as well. Of course, the whole country was full of young people who were protesting the war in Vietnam, who were taking over their college campuses, and I was part of that as well. But it really struck home when the Young Lords took over a church in my grandmother's neighborhood, as a matter of fact. I do have a grandmother who lives in El Barrio and a cousin named Evelyn, and we used to watch what went on in El Barrio at that time.
So, Sonia, this novel is incredibly personal to you. Tell us about that.
Well, there are two personal experiences that I'd like to share that really happened to me and that are in the novel. One great and one not so great. There was a tradition of mothers always eating last and always standing to eat, and I think that's because they wanted to make sure that their husbands and children ate first. That's in the novel, and that happened to me as well. And the other thing is that there's a moment in the novel where Evelyn and her mother make a bed.
It's a beautiful moment, yes.
Thank you. And I put it in there because with the times that I did housework with my mother were the times that I felt really close to her, like we were a team, and you know, we knew when to fold the bedding under at the exact same moment. And it was a good memory for me, and I put it in the novel.
I see, I see. You've gotten some incredible praise already. Pulitzer Prize-winning author Oscar Huelos says that he loved this novel, that it should be savored in delicious bites. You've gotten some wonderful endorsements from Pam Munoz-Ryan, Julia Alvarez, and even John Leguizamo gave you a standing ovation. What do you want readers to take away?
Well, I want readers to realize that there's a lot to be had from learning from their older relatives. Even maybe at that moment you might not like them, you might not agree with them, but when you get older you will understand them better. And that if there's any aspiring writers out there, that they should write. I never thought that I was going to write a novel. We told this very crummy joke in my household. There were no pencils and paper or books. You have to write a telephone number with my mother's eyebrow pencil. That's how there was no pencils, no literature around. But I've kept all my memories and I've put them on paper, and you never know what memories will come out there.
Well, you certainly put some wonderful memories in The Revolution of Evelyn Serrano.
Thank you.
And thankfully it was not written with an eyebrow pencil. You did a very good job typing, and thank you, Sonia.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Aimee Friedman, Senior Editor, and I'm thrilled to be presenting Skinny, Donna Cooner's dazzling YA debut. Skinny, the story of one girl's struggle with her weight and her journey to find her own voice, is a novel both timely and timeless. It is suffused with warmth, wit, and poignancy. Author Lauren Myracle called it the best and truest depiction of the joys and pangs of transformation I have ever read. Skinny is also a deeply personal story, inspired by the experiences of the author. And now, to tell you more about Skinny, here is Donna Cooner herself.
Hi, my name is Donna Cooner, and I'm excited to share with you my debut young adult novel, Skinny. It's the story of 15-year-old Ever Davies who hears voices. The vicious sound that whispers in Ever Davies' ear is the voice of self-doubt and mockery, and it has a name, Skinny. Ever is willing to change her body through gastric bypass surgery, but if she's going to realize her dreams of becoming a singer and finding love, she's going to have to deal with Skinny. Current statistics estimate a large percentage of adolescents in the United States are overweight. This figure has nearly tripled in the last 20 years. Knowing the statistics, however, is not the same as living it. For me, there's a much more personal story to tell. I've struggled with obesity my whole life and know firsthand the mental and the physical impacts, especially in a culture where the media tells our young women that their value depends on the way they look. At my top weight of over 300 pounds, I made the decision to have gastric bypass surgery. I lost over 100 pounds in 1 year and have kept my weight fairly stable since. But the surgery was a positive experience, but it wasn't a magic wand. I'll always struggle with weight and body images. Hopefully the story of Skinny will find its way to others with that battle too. But I also hope it connects to any reader who wrestles with negative thoughts.
Hi, I'm Lisa Sandell, Executive Editor of Scholastic Press, and it's a pleasure to present The Dark Unwinding, Sharon Cameron's beautiful and entrancing, mysterious and spooky debut novel. Catherine Tolman travels to her uncle's estate to have him committed to an asylum. But instead of a madman, she is shocked to find a brilliant inventor who makes magic seem possible with machines. She also finds the tall, dark, and handsome Lane Moreau, her uncle's apprentice. As Catherine struggles to choose between her duties and her growing affection for her uncle and his estate, as well as for Lane, it soon becomes clear that a wicked plot has been set in motion. A plot that could destroy not only Catherine, but the state of England. The Dark Unwinding is gorgeously rich and thrilling. It's a modern classic with its dark Gothic setting, juicy forbidden romance, strong feisty heroine, and a fresh and fabulous new voice. I hope you'll adore it as I do.
Hi, I'm Cassandra Pelham, Associate Editor at Scholastic, and I am so excited to tell you about Jeff Hirsch's second novel for Scholastic Press, Magisterium. After the success of his USA Today bestseller, The 11th Plague, Jeff again brings us an imaginative, futuristic adventure, but this time with a little bit more fantasy and even more of the unknown. In Magisterium, Jeff has created a complex, captivating world that has been split in two by a phenomenon called the Rift. On one side is the technologically advanced society, and on the other is a mystery. And now here's Jeff Hirsch, who will tell you a little bit more about the book.
Hi there, this is Jeff Hirsch here in my office to tell you a little bit about my next book called Magisterium. Magisterium is the story of a very brilliant and very troubled 16-year-old girl named Glenn, who lives in this world that was split in two about 100 years earlier by a mysterious event called the Rift. And on Glenn's side of the divide is a technological paradise. And on the other is this nameless wasteland, or so Glenn thinks. Not that Glenn thinks about it all that much, actually, since all that she's interested in doing is getting out of school and getting as far away from home as humanly possible. But then, one day, Glenn's scientist father makes this groundbreaking technological discovery that leads to his arrest and sends Glenn and her best friend, Kevin Kapoor, on the run from the government and across the divide, where they find not the wasteland they were told to expect, but a fundamentally different and more terrifying reality called the Magisterium. And it's there that Glenn and Kevin are thrust into the middle of this 100-year-old conflict between the Magisterium and their own reality, with the fate of the entire world at stake. This book was incredibly fun to write. Coming off the sort of grim, post-apocalyptic realism of the 11th Plague, it was a blast to create these two realities. One full of technological wonders and another full of magic and monsters. So I hope this is as fun for you to read as it was for me to write. I'm really excited about getting it out there, and looking forward to you guys reading it and talking to you about it. Okay? Thank you very much.